Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. For those that are new, my name is Nelly. Marriage is not a bed of roses. The minute you say I do, you're declaring a war of roses. It could be yourself, the enemy, or maybe your family members. When you are going to the altar, you need to be clear-minded in what you're getting yourself into. It's never a walk in the park. You need to declare some certain enemies that can affect your marriage. One of them is you both need to be on the same page. This is one of the most important things when it comes to marriage. Don't enter marriage thinking that you're going to change the next person. They never change. Once they're married, this is when the person reveals who they really are. Because when it comes to courtship, a person can pretend to be somebody that they're not. So that is why it's make it easier when you are getting into courtship with this person, you become friends, rather than getting into a relationship quickly with that person so that you can get to know their true colors, who they really are. Because when you are friends, a person is more relaxed than when you're in a relationship. The next enemy that may affect your relationship is when you are rude or you do not have respect. Maybe you're angry with this person. You're not open to discuss the situation. Instead, you make those remarks in order to provoke that person. You're so rude that you always want to push their buttons. That is why communication is very important. If you don't communicate, you never get to find out what is the real issue, what is the real problem. And you need to talk about everything. Don't start conversation when things are heated up. Rather talk when things are not heated up. Because sometimes when you talk when things are heated up, you end up saying things that you're not meant to say. We know when it comes to marriage, it's about communication and compromise. You're bringing two people here from different backgrounds with different upbringing. The way you would communicate would be different from the next person. So you both need to come on a mutual ground, just like everything in life. When it comes to marriage, it needs to be nurtured continuously. Like when you take care of your partner, he will also take care of you. And once this happened, your marriage will be easy. If you don't like something, communicate there and there. Don't leave it for the next time he says it again. Because when you leave it for the next time he does it again, it will come out very harsh, because at that point in time, you're already irritated. Just like when it comes to decisions. You need to consult each other when it comes to decisions. Don't make decisions alone without consulting your partner. Like when it comes to finances as well, that's a big problem. For instance, you go out and buy something expensive without consulting your partner. Remember, you're a team here. Whatever you do, you need to consult your partner in every decision that you make, even about the smallest things. I'm not saying you should go and ask for permission, but just communicate to the next person so that they know what you are planning. So when you compromise with one another, you're showing that you're appreciating each other. Because when it comes to relationships, it's about compromise. So you need to be ready to do that. If you're not willing to compromise, then it will affect the relationship. And you should avoid third-party influence. When you are having issues with your spouse, avoid having your friends and family in order to justify your own mistakes. Focus on communication without involving the third party and sort out these issues. Because what's going to happen is once you begin to make up, they won't look at your partner the way they did before. And this will lead to mistrust and unforgiveness, which is going to be very difficult to heal. Sometimes you find that in relationship, you've got this unforgiveness. You are holding a grudge on your spouse just because they said something to you that you don't like. You keep record on what your spouse did instead of talking it out. Don't start holding grudges on the next person, because they will never know what is the problem, especially if you don't talk about it. Eventually, this will lead to bitterness. You become so bitter that nothing that person will do will make you happy. And of course, this invites other problems in your marriage, like cheating. Suddenly, you start snooping around because you no longer trust that person. If you have trust issues, it will eventually affect the relationship. That is why you need to ask God to change your heart and your spirit, especially when there's just no trust. When it comes to trust issues when you're married, it's very common, especially if you've been disappointed before and you find that you don't really trust that person anymore. This is when you have to pray and ask God to help you with the trust issues. Sometimes we even put those unrealistic expectations in marriage, which will put a strain in the marriage or maybe the relationship. None of us are perfect. We all have issues and are bound to make mistakes. So don't set your partner for constant failures, especially with your unrealistic expectation here. Sometimes we waste so much time and energy comparing our marriages with other marriages out there. And you end up undermining your husband because they don't behave like your next door neighbor's husband. We're all meant to be different. Don't start envying other people's marriage because you don't know what happens between closed doors. What you're seeing is the outside picture. You can think you've got problems in your marriage until you start hearing the other person telling you their story. So you need to appreciate what you have. Don't start envying other people's marriages. This is one of the biggest problems when it comes to marriage. A lot of couples do that without realizing that whatever they do, the children are watching. And the next enemy that affects marriages is when it comes to intimacy. Marriage without intimacy is a war of roses. And too many women feel that they can control the frequency on when they're supposed to provide their wife duties. Even the Bible makes it clear that it's a gift from God for married couples. In Corinthians 1 verse 7, it clearly says do not deprive each other, especially when you're married. You know, when it comes to men's needs, it's more physical than women. And when it comes to us women, we like the whole romantic package, which sometimes the men don't have time for. So sometimes you really don't need to have those excuses like having a headache. If you are considerate with each other's needs, it actually harmonizes after a heated argument. Don't create a war of roses if it's not necessary. The next point is when it comes to finances. If you know that you cannot handle finances, don't handle finances in the home. When it comes to finances and money, it's one of the biggest cause of tension when it comes to family and marriage. If you feel like you cannot handle finance, leave it for your partner to do that. You need to avoid these simple conflicts in marriage. Sometimes you just need to have a budget to avoid these conflicts. It's a way of moving forward in your marriage. Just have a discussion. Otherwise, just have a day-to-day budget. How are you going to spend your money? You need to avoid the blame game because that's not going to work as well. If you see that your wife cannot handle finances, sit down and discuss this whole issue. It's not an overnight thing, it takes time. So if you don't want a war of roses in this marriage, then you need to bring in God in your marriage in order for Him to be in the center of your marriage. In that way, you will avoid this war of roses that the enemy wants to put into your marriage. You won't even realizing. You blame each other, and yet it's the enemy behind the whole thing. Thank you for watching. If this is content that you like, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video. God bless you.